Side slip down until you get right down there by the tree. See how there's that little shelf? Welcome to the channel. I'm Nathan, and this is Hallway Ski Reviews. Today we're going to do something a little different. This isn't a normal ski review that I've been putting out. I recently did a demo day at my local mountain, and I tried to get on as many skis as I could. You know, last year when I did it, I got on a dozen skis because there was just less people up there. This year, I was only able to get on 9 just because there was a lot more people. But I just want to share, you know, the skis that I was able to get on this year, my thought process going through it, and you know, just kind of give you my insights on what I felt and thought about it, you know, on the couple runs that I got. So I have a list kind of behind the camera here, and I'm going to be kind of reading off the basic details just so I don't have to remember them all. But if I'm not looking at the camera, that's why. So first of all, the first ski that I got up on, let's start here. Conditions for the day. We got 6 to 8 inches of actually like fresh, nice snow, and they did a fantastic job of grooming with just like a little bit of fresh snow on top. It really was a fantastic day for testing, you know, pretty much any ski that you wanted, which was amazing. So the first ski that I got on was the Headcore 106 Ti. So new for this next season, Headcore is going away from what they were doing, which was, you know, lightweight, stiff skis, and now they're adding in, so what is it? It's Karuba Beach, 2 layers of Titanal, graphene, and fiberglass. So a whole new build from those guys. I have never skied one of the original Headcores. I always wanted to get on one. Never, you know, was able to make it happen. But I was able to get on next year's 106 Ti, and you know, it was a good day for it. I actually scooted off and got a completely fresh, untouched run on the Headcores, and you know, their soft snow performance is pretty darn good. It's, you know, a heavier, damper ski now than they ever were before, and it had a very nice kind of like directional personality, kind of low slung rocker, and you know, enough camber to give bite, and it really had a nice personality. It was, let's see, I skied it in a 184 cm centimeter, and then an 18.5 meter radius, and the ski weighed 2,140 grams per ski. So for a 106 ski underfoot, that's probably pretty average, if not maybe on the upper end, like middle upper, somewhere in there. So not super heavy, just like a nice in-between weight, and they did great. They cut through the snow when I wanted to cut. They floated on the snow when I wanted it to float. The area I was in was kind of weird because it was wind blown, and there was some harder moguls underneath, so it was like a couple inches of soft snow, you know, on top of moguls, and then like really deep in between. So there's, you know, like a couple times that I went to like cut into the snow and I ended up hitting the tops of moguls and things. But you know, as a whole, it didn't like throw me weird. It didn't cut in and like pull me across the line when it hit those firmer spots. It had a very nice, even personality across the conditions. And then I took a groomer run on it too, just to, you know, see if it would carve. And it actually did. It carved, I would say, you know, quite nice for a 106 underfoot ski. So a nice all-around ski coming in here from Head, and I think the direction they're going is awesome. So ski number 2 is the Atomic Maverick 96 Ti. So they had the Maverick 95 for the last few years, and I think a lot of people got along with these really well because they had, you know, a couple layers of Titanal, and they were fairly light and maneuverable, and they had just a nice even personality. So the new 96 Ti doesn't seem to be a whole lot different, but they did add in carbon into this one, which I think is, you know, maybe they're trying to add in a little more energy. I skied this guy in a 179 centimeter. It is an 18-meter radius, and just like, you know, a lot of their other skis, the Bent series and things, this has the new Horizon 3D. So they added that to the ski as well in the tip. This is an ash poplar wood core, and it has carbon and TI, 2 layers of thin Titanal. And they call it their power wood core. So personality for this guy, like, very snappy, very lively. You know, it pulls you into the turn, but it doesn't like yank you in, you know, unnecessarily. It does have, you know, it definitely like pulls you into the turn, but not unnecessarily. You know, as soon as you tip it in and you put pressure into those tips, it just pulls you in really nice and evenly. And I actually thought it was a lot of fun. I skied it in the 179. I could see going up to the 185 or 186, whatever the next size is up. You know, it might depend on your mountain. My mountain, you know, it's kind of low angle, but that's a pretty turny ski. So, you know, I would kind of be stuck in between the 179 and the 180, whatever it is. Just because it is lighter weight, I would be a little more tempted to size up. And, you know, you're getting a little bit longer turn radius, but it, you know, it's not a super firm, strong ski, and it's pretty lightweight, and it does initiate the turn well already with the tip. So I think you could size up with this guy and still be feeling really good. Anybody for this could get on it. You know, like the head core, I would say at least an intermediate before you'd get on that ski. The Maverick 96 CTI, on the other hand, you know, like a lower level intermediate could totally get on that ski and have a really good time. You know, and maybe even a beginner, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's friendly enough, the tip shape and all of the things, like, you know, maybe it has a little catchy of a tail for a beginner, but like, you know, once you're intermediate, like, I don't think this ski would bother you at all, and it would be nothing but a benefit for somebody who is trying to learn, you know, slarving, carving, you know, mogul performance, all of these things. It just had a very nice mix of in-between personality and, you know, like lightweight and maneuverable, which would be great for, you know, a lot of, you know, intermediate and growing skiers. I could also see, like, I had a ton of fun on that ski. I was, you know, pleasantly surprised how like easy it pulled you into the turn and nice control, and it didn't bend too much. I didn't stuff the tip or do anything weird. Like, and this was like good groomers today that, or not today, but the day that I did it. And sometimes on those really nice Pac Pow groomers, you can like overbend the tip and kind of like, it just feels abrupt too much. I didn't have that feeling at all on the 96. So great ski. Highly recommend that guy.
What'd you think?
Probably should have gone longer, but I like it. It's fun.
Do you want to go longer? Or you want to go
I may come back. There's some other stuff I want to try, and then I'll probably round back on it.
Okay.
Unless you have like a 186, 105 CTI.
I got a 185.
Perfect. I'll do that.
The next ski that I got on was the Atomic Maverick 105 CTI. So the same ski, just in a 105 instead of a 96. So all the same stuff applies. Ash poplar carbon, 2 layers of thin Titanal. I skied this in the 185, which had a 19-meter radius, and I actually thought that this was one of the standout skis for what I skied that day. This was, you know, it was all the things that the Maverick 96 was, but with a little more weight, a little more width. It floated really well. I took it up to 7th heaven and kind of, you know, it was pretty chopped up by the time I got that thing up there, but it, you know, handled like those steep, you know, just drug out, you know, little lines up there on 7th, and like, it did it with absolute poise and absolute comfort, and just you know, like, I think I took 3 or 4 turns on it and looked over to the person I was skiing with and was like, I think I like these.
Oh, these are great.
You know, and I've
Yeah.
done 3 or 4 skis, you know, like that's amazing to have that much intuitiveness, that much, you know, like comfort on a ski within like a few turns is super impressive. So I was very impressed with the 105 CTI. It, you know, did really well in the soft snow, in the chopped up soft snow. You know, it is a lighter weight ski. I don't know what it is. It's probably 1,900 grams or 2,000 grams, but it definitely got kind of knocked around. But like that kind of intuitive personality still, you know, made it feel good. And just because it's more, you know, lighter and more maneuverable, you can kind of slow it down and like find your lines a little more. So highly recommend. That ski was great. You know, nothing but praise for that. I really am hoping that I can get on it next year and do more of a long-term review. We'll see. I mean, 2 runs, it doesn't really tell you a lot of, you know, outside of like a quick personality thing, and you know, hopefully that's what I'm imparting here. So ski number 4, I skied. So I own a Nordica Unleashed 98, and this is a ski that I absolutely love. This is my spring ski, which, you know, it's springtime, so now it's the time. The 98 is one of the best spring snow skis that I have ever skied. It just absolutely digs in and trenches into, you know, spring, you know, mashed potato snow, and it is like one of the funnest things. Like, if you have never gotten in on a Unleashed 98 in spring days carving, you are missing out, because it's amazing. So I also really like the 98 in like all kinds of different conditions. You know, its soft snow performance is okay. It's a 98. The tip shape is short, you know, as far as its rocker shape, but it does really well. Mogul performance is really good, as long as you keep your weight off the tails. The Unleashed 108, which I've really wanted to get on, it has a similar personality, but it doesn't feel as like, the 98 feels snappy and quick and responsive. The 108 feels a little bit less so. Like, it kind of reminded me of like Armada JJ, the 116 ski. In some ways, just how like the flex and different things, but you know, it has a little more like you know, in the ski than the Armada JJ. I actually like the Unleashed 108 better than the JJ. You know, it you know, was reliable, and you know, I didn't have any issues skiing on it. I just tend to prefer, you know, tip and tail rocker that's a little bit longer and smooth and not so abrupt. So similar to the 98 in the soft snow performance, I feel like it's pretty darn good, but there's other skis that outperform it in soft snow, and just like kind of slarving through the snow and just like ease of use. The 108 is really good. I skied it again in like very chopped up steep terrain, and I did have to slow down. I did have to kind of like pick my lines a little more. You know, I think that the Unleashed 108 is more capable of just pinning it through rough stuff than the Maverick 105 CTI. You know, it weighs more. The Unleashed 108 is 2,120 grams. I skied it in 186, and it was a 19.7 meter radius. So it, you know, I think I wanted to really like it because I really like the Unleashed 98, and it's not like I didn't like the 108, I just didn't love it as much as I love the 98. So, you know, the 108, really good. It makes a great all-around ski. It actually carves on, you know, the the groomers that we had were really good, but I was able to like get some pretty low hip carves on that ski on my last run down, and it was pretty fun. So if you want something that's very versatile, fairly damp, you know, very maneuverable, and, you know, just like a compelling 108 underfoot, like all mountain ski for like a high snow area, that would be a really, really, really fantastic, you know, all in any conditions ski. It actually is really, really good. So anyways, let's see, let's go on. So Nordica Enforcer 94 was the 5th ski, and I skied this in a 179. It has a 17.5 meter radius and weighed in at 2030 grams, so 2030 grams. So not super light, but not that heavy either. It is poplar beach core with 2 layers of Titanol and elastomer layer and fiberglass. So a lot in there. This is a ski that from the first carved turn that I did, I was like eyebrows raised, eyes wide open, like, oh my gosh, this thing turns so well. And, you know, like I've had the 104 free, the Enforcer 104 free in the past in the same length of 179. And that ski for a 104 underfoot that's that damp and all of those things, that thing turns really, really well. Like it makes amazing carved turns. The previous Enforcer series kind of felt a little dead, a little like,
that's nice and soft.
You know, they were so
That's
damp
great.
that they lacked energy. So they were really good for plowing through things and cutting through, you know, cruddy conditions and like going through anything you wanted. You just like put it on edge and, you know, they would just like cut right through it. Really, really fun. You know, the 17.5 meter radius with those flex patterns, really, really good. The new 94 is all of those things, maybe a little less damp, but with a lot more energy. So, you know, similar turn shape, similar like pull into the turn, similar, you know, it has that Enforcer feel, but it's stronger and it has more power. And, you know, like the Enforcers pull you into a turn, but, you know, they don't really, you know, they don't need it. So you can kind of feather it and you can, you know, put it at the angle that you want to make it make the turn you want. And they're very intuitive on edge. It is a very strong ski, so like tight moguls, you know, very technical, like treed areas and things, like definitely a little bit uncomfortable on that tree, on that ski. But like, if you're on piste carving, you want to be able to go and ski anywhere on the mountain, but your priority is carving, that ski is amazing. This was definitely one of the standout skis for me. Its carving performance is, I mean, it is on another level. And I've skied the 89, the 94 now, the 99, and the 104. And actually the 104 is the next ski I'm going to talk about. But the 89 is amazing, the 94 is amazing, the 99 is amazing. I did a partial demo day on that ski, and I'm hoping to get back out on the 99 again. I mean, I would love to do a review on all of them. They're all, you know, very unique skis. You know, I love the Enforcer series. But anyways, Enforcer 94 is great. It was actually so good that I might have gone out and bought it, so look for that review soon. And okay, so anyways, let's move on. Nordica Enforcer 104. I had the 104 free previously, really enjoyed the ski. The only gripe I ever had about it was it just kind of felt dead, and there was no energy that you could get back out of it, and it was a tiring ski. So like you'd go and carve and push into that ski, and you just didn't really get a whole lot back out of it, so you felt like you were putting in all the effort and not really getting anything out of it. That doesn't take away from the ski. The ski is still very damp and powerful and just fairly maneuverable for what it is. The new 104 is just as maneuverable, just as friendly, and I would say more powerful, and it has a little bit more energy than the old 104 Free. So the only complaints that I ever had about the 104 Free, they have improved on it. I didn't find myself wanting to replace my 104 Free with the 104. For whatever reason, I thought it was a lot better, and I thought it was great. And the 104 Free had a following, so there's going to be a ton of people who look at the 104 and they're like, no, that's the ski that I actually wanted, and they're going to find a lot to like there. Not necessarily the ski for me. It just wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for something kind of in the mid 90s at the time, so it was fun to get on it. I enjoyed it. It did everything really well. It is a very stiff ski, so know that going in that you're buying into a pretty strong, powerful ski. It's just like the 94 and the 99, but wider, so even more strong. 104 Free, I skied it in a 185, 19 meter radius, and it's 2,285 grams. So pretty portly. Heaviest ski I skied that day. Almost 2,300 grams is a pretty solid ski. But great, and it actually pulls you into turn just like all the other Enforcers. I skied it on a little snake trail, and it did really well through there. It was able to kind of slarve and float through there. It just has a very nice, even personality. I'd love to get a long-term review on all of the Enforcers. They'd be great. But anyways, this is short and sweet. And just like the 94, it is poplar beech, 2 layers of Titanol, elastomer layer, and fiberglass. And they Enforcers have just always been really, really, really solid, great skis on the powerful end of the spectrum. So for this ski, just know that you're getting into it, and you better be a fairly technical, proficient skier that can get the weight off the tails in anything outside of groomers. So next ski we got, oh yes, the Salomon QST 100. The 98 is gone. So the 98 was great. It was both maneuverable and damp, which is kind of mind-blowing. They did, the 98 was kind of amazing in that way. It felt a whole lot better in the trees and off-piste conditions that didn't require you to necessarily turn at certain points, because there was a lot of weight at the tips and tails. The new ski, so I've skied the 98 in both a 176 and a 182, I believe. I preferred the 176, not the 182, just because of that weight at the tips and tails. The new ski is a 180 centimeter, so the 176 and the 182, they kind of shift all of that. And the 180 centimeter, I actually thought the 180 centimeter was better than the 176 and the 182. It fit better to me. I ski a lot of 180s. It is, let's see, 17.5 meter radius. I don't know if I said this. And then 1,880 grams in the 180, which is really, really similar to what the 176 was. I think the 176 was like 20 grams lighter or something like that. So this is 20 grams heavier in a 180, so I guess they're a little bit lighter probably than the 98. So I thought that this ski was better than the 98. So it feels It feels really good, you know, off piste, just like the previous 98. But then they improved upon, I don't know if they like stiffened up the center section or what, but it feels better in a carved turn than the 98 did to me. And then off piste, it feels like maybe the weight is not as far into the tips, and it actually feels even more maneuverable to me, you know, at least in the couple runs that I took. And I was pretty impressed with it. I think that, you know, the 100 is, you know, from the couple runs I took, felt like an improvement over the 98. So awesome stuff. You know, the 98 sold really, really well. A lot of people found a lot to like there. I think the 100 will not be any different. There's, I mean, broad appeal with this ski. It's just really, really good. It is a full poplar wood core. It has a basalt fiberglass fibers. I don't know if it's a layer or what, or if it's just like intertwined in that. And then, of course, their corked amplifier, so that's still there. All good things. If you like the previous one, you'll still really like this one. If you want a little bit more carving performance, you'll like this one better. If you want a little bit more maneuverability, I actually think that this is even more maneuverable. Just really, really good ski. You know, a ski for the masses. Anybody can jump on it, from pretty much, you know, somebody who's spent 5 days on a ski all the way up to, you know, somebody who is a very, very, very good skier. And, you know, all the way across the spectrum, there's going to be people who love this ski. So Salomon did really good. The next ski is one that I have wanted to get on for a very long time, the Salomon Stance 96. I skied this in a 182. It has a 20-meter radius, and I'm not certain what the weight is. I tried finding the weight specs and didn't find it. This is a Karuba poplar wood core with carbon and flax and 2 layers of Titanol. So this ski, and I kind of wish that I would have also tried it in a shorter length. I don't know if they have like a 176 or something like that. But I skied it in a 182, and for pretty much everything, I was really impressed. Like it slarves, it moves around, you know, mogul skiing, snake runs, like all of that kind of stuff. It has a really nice personality. It is a fairly strong ski. You know, pretty powerful, and then it has a longer turn radius. You know, like similar skis like the Enforcers, they're running like a 17.5 meter radius and with a strong ski. This is a strong ski with a 20 meter radius. So I found that this ski took a lot more speed to get it going on piste. So, you know, if the Enforcer starts carving at 25 or 30, the Stance starts carving at 35. You know, like, it's to really, like, you know, bend the tip and get it going and get that, you know, ski to like kind of dive back and forth with your, you know, your turns. Like, you need to be going pretty darn quick. And, you know, like, it's kind of one side or the other, right? Like, with that kind of longer radius, you actually get like some nice slarvy, smooth personality when you're off piste or just like sliding around on it. Like, it feels really, really good. But then when you want to get it on the groomers and carve the thing, you got to go fast. You got to keep your speed up. You got to go fast. You got to have a mountain that can, you know, keep your speed going, enough steepness to, you know, create the speed to really start carving on the thing. And it feels really powerful and strong. Not, I wouldn't say it's like dynamic, you know, you can't like snap back and forth, but it does make really strong, powerful, smooth turns. So that's what you're getting with the Stance. Like I said, I skied it in the 182. Be fun to try it in the shorter lengths. And then the last ski of the day, the K2 Mindbender 99 Ti. So this is another ski that I have never skied a K2. So I thought it would be really fun to get on the 99 Ti. I was able to get on it the last ski of the day, and really, really, really good as well. So I skied it in a 184, 19.6 meter radius, 2,200 grams. So not light. It's on the heavier end of the spectrum, longer turn radius, but unlike the Stance, you know, like the Stance was 20 radius and this is 19.6, they have a very different personality. So the Mindbender 99 Ti has, I would say, a softer flex pattern, and I didn't actually like flex these by hand, so on snow with your body on the ski, the Mindbender was easier to bend and to initiate a turn. The Stance was not as readily, you know, pulling you into a turn or anything. You definitely had to build up pressure in the ski and then bend the turn yourself, bend the ski. The 99 Ti has just enough pull at the tip that, like, as you create that pressure, the tip starts pulling you across the fall line, and it just had a very nice, smooth personality. And I actually got along really, really well with the 99 Ti. I could totally see myself skiing that as, you know, my one ski quiver. It just did all of the things that you would want to do on a mountain really, really well. It floats really well, it carves really well, it, you know, slid through snake runs and moguls really well, and, you know, I was able to get good conditions and ski all of those different scenarios. You know, I didn't ski ice because, you know, the conditions were really nice, but I did hit a couple ice patches in the moguls that I skied, and it didn't like grab up and pull me into the turn. It didn't just like slide out. It just had this really nice in-between personality. Super duper good. It is a Aspen, I think it's a double TI with bioresin. So Aspen core, I think they call it Aspen veneer core. And then I believe it's one layer of Titanal, and then they have their Titanal Y-beam, which is, I'll try to put it in the video, it's an interesting, you know, Y-shaped front and then kind of a single tail in the back. And I thought that it was a great mix of personalities on the ski, and highly recommend that ski for somebody who's looking for, you know, around 100 Titanal, you know, heavier weight, do everything ski. Really, really good. So that's all the skis I skied this year. It was really fun. We got fantastic conditions. You know, the vibe was high. It was super good. And okay, let's do closing thoughts with my skis that I thought that were standout amazing skis. So the two skis to me that stood out the most and that had me kind of going, whoa, that's amazing, like that just shock factor. One was the Maverick 105 CTI. I thought that thing was like intuitive from the get-go and a great mix of personality. Amazing. Definitely try that one. And then the Enforcer series, like I said, I did buy the Enforcer 94. I haven't even gotten on this one yet. I just mounted it up last night, and I'm going to take it up this weekend, and I'm really looking forward to getting some more time on this ski because I was highly impressed with it at the demo. And you know, I only got 2 runs, so here's looking forward to some time on the 94. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'm going to try to get as much footage into this video as possible. Hopefully you're seeing that as we go through here. And if you like this kind of content, as this is a little different than I would typically do, like and subscribe below, and let me know what you think. If you were up there and you did a demo day, let me know what skis you got on and what you thought about those skis, and I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. And anyways, this is Nathan, Hallway Ski Reviews, and we'll see you on the next one.
Oh, okay.